Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Talking Tradesman. In the studio today, all the way from Newcastle, I have fellow painter and decorator, Joanne Hay. Joanne, massive thank you for making the effort to come all the way down to the Midlands to record with me today. And let's talk.
Yeah, yes.
Fantastic. So, little bit about you then. If you want to introduce who you are, what you do, and all the rest of it, although I've already covered the fact that you're a decorator, but little introduction, and then we'll get into your background.
Yeah, I'm Jo, all the way from Newcastle, and been decorating pretty much since I left school. So it's like over 19 years.
Okay.
Came from, my dad's a decorator.
Oh, right, okay.
So,
second generation yourself.
Yeah. So I always wanted a trade to fall back on, but I didn't know what. And it just happened to be the one I knew most about. So,
did you used to go and work with your dad at all?
Yeah, I went out on placement with him when I was like an apprentice. Went out to work with him, and I mean, I went to a couple of different places, but done a lot with my dad and the company he was working with at the time. And then just kind of here I am today. Like,
it's one of those, and it's sometimes those family things where, I mean, I said to you before we were recording, I'm third generation, so my granddad and my dad were decorators. Couldn't work with my dad. Like me and him.
Yeah.
I worked with him as a kid, so when I was very young, like 8, 10, 12, through some holidays and things. But the minute I reached like maturity, yeah, we didn't work together until... So I ended up working with my grandfather, and then my dad came to work for me years down the line.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so but the dynamic of me working for him just didn't work
I've
out.
always got these memories of my dad doing stuff at home and me just being like peering over the paste table, like what's going on. Like and he's still got a paste table that's like he's had since I was a kid.
Really?
And I've used it as well.
No
It's
way.
still going strong.
The heirloom paste table.
It's just solid.
Yeah. Is that solid because it's covered in paste?
It's just it's just how well it was made. Like all of them now are just.
Tell me about it. It's well, they're all the better ones have a lot of plastic, aren't they? But yeah. So you came out of school, went into decorating. How did that play out for you?
Great. Like, to be honest, it was a leaflet that fell through the door, and I was like, I know most about decorating. It was like a college that had like spaces. I was like, I'm just going to go for it and get the qualification, and I've always got that. I didn't want to be a decorator. Believe it or not, I wanted to be a vet.
I mean, it's like, close, isn't it?
Get paint on people's pets, but that's about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I just end up sticking at that, and I was the only girl at the time to finish the full apprenticeship.
Well done.
So when I'd done that, I was still, do I go and work for somebody? Do I go self-employed? And then I thought, I don't know of any females in Newcastle or around that are decorating. So I thought, why not make a go of it?
100%.
And that's pretty much
so did you do like a college apprenticeship? Or?
Yeah, I was there for, it was 2 and a bit years. And come out of there, and I just thought, I'm just going to give it a go. What have I got to lose?
How was that for you? How was the apprenticeship?
Loved it. You see, I grew up with 3 older brothers.
Right.
And it was all lads pretty much on the course. There was a few girls that didn't last very long. But it was really good. Like, just great banter. And I'm still friends now with my old tutors.
That's cool.
And I'm in contact with them quite a lot.
Yeah.
So, no, I loved it. And then I went out on the placement with my dad. And as you were saying, like, we can't work together either. It's too clashy.
It's a difficult dynamic. I'm kind of negotiating it myself at the moment because my son's come into my business. So he's my apprentice at the moment. He's been with me 6-7 months. And I'm trying to make sure I handle it correctly at the same time as him. And what I've said to Alfie essentially is the minute we leave the door in the morning, it's not a father-son thing anymore. It's a, apprentice and boss essentially. Yeah. But it definitely... It isn't as easy as that. Like, it's great to say that, but to actually keep it that way, it's tricky. It is tricky because then there's things like, to put it bluntly, like if he pisses me off at work, it's not fair for me to then bring that into the house at the end of the day. But it's also very hard to leave it at the door
Yeah.
You know, so as much as I say it, it's a difficult thing to achieve. So it's tough working with families.
Yeah. I mean, my dad taught us a lot, especially like the old school ways of things that I still use today as well. But years ago, we did a little job together, and you naturally kind of tell each other how you want it to go, and it's like, well, no, you do that and I'll do this then.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's all I've ever known, and I've had no regrets
That's
of,
great.
falling into this trade.
Do you know what, Joe? It's I'm a massive advocate for the trades anyway. I think that's so under-respected by the education system.
Yeah.
And having people such as you and me that have been in it for most of our lives, I think it's a really good advertisement for youngsters coming in. Because one of the
Yeah.
things that really pisses me off is that it's kind of put on the shelf as get a trade if you fail at school.
Yeah.
So to me, it should just be a viable option. Point one, like, here's a good career. Here's something that's very understaffed at the moment. You know, skilled tradespeople in the UK, there's a huge shortage.
Yeah.
Demand dictates value. Like, why would you not
Exactly.
want to look at it as a career choice? And it's not easy. It's not physically easy, but you know, it pays the dividends on the backside of that, doesn't it?
Yeah. And it's like I said, when I started that apprenticeship and went through it, I was like, actually, I don't know of any females either. So, as far as I knew, I could be the first in Newcastle. So that's why I, give it a go. And then even now, there's still not a lot around my area of female tradespeople.
How, I mean, if you don't mind me asking, I'm just be blunt on it. I see both sides of the argument on this, but I've spoken to various ladies that are in the trades, and there seems to be two different perspectives on it, which is one, there's people that will use it as like a marketing point, like female tradesperson, and then there's people that don't want the acknowledgement of the sex to do with the trade.
Yeah.
Where do you stand on it?
I don't use my sex as a advertising thing. It's my skill at the end of the day. What difference does the gender make? What I will use it for is to try and encourage more into it.
Yeah.
So I see many using, female decorator. But if you think, it would look strange if you seen male decorator.
Yeah.
So, like what has that got to do
I
with
can
it?
only imagine it's just it's a percentage thing, isn't it? It's like any kind of minority can be monetized, really. See, when I say I see both arguments, like I can really see people that are there that say, look, I just want to be valued for being good at my job. I get that 100%, agree with it 100%. But I also see people that go, do you know what? If I can market myself as female, and then that's going to make me appeal to a certain demographic of client, why not?
Yeah.
You know, because there will be people out there that will be more comfortable having a lady in the house. There might be people that are more comfortable having a man in the house. Why not? Sort of grab onto that is my. So I see both sides. Like I'm like Switzerland. I'm neutral. So it just interests me to see other people's opinions on things.
Me, don't get us wrong. When I first started, I did use that because I thought, well, yeah, that's what I am.
Why not?
Like, you don't see a lot of females in trades, but now I don't use it to gain any work or anything like that. Like, I put content out. I put a lot into my social media, and everybody can see who I am. And
Yeah.
it's just when I try to use it to encourage young girls or other,
Into the
like, yeah,
trade.
she's a girl. She's doing really well.
Yeah.
So
Well, it needs people like you to stand up and be counted in that respect, because it is, people do need to see that example and say, well, there's somebody that's walked the path and is doing well out of it. Let's pause a moment to thank our headline sponsors, Zinza, and let's talk about their product, Zinza Bin. Zinza Bin is a shellac-based formula, and it sticks to any surface without the need for sanding. It dries in 15 minutes and can be recoated in 45. Zinza Bin blocks stains, knots, sap streaks and odours, including water stains, oil stains, mould, nicotine, pen and more. It really is a fantastic product. Let's get back to the episode. So yeah, I get both sides, and you can't really do that without saying, "Look at me, I'm a female decorator, and I've done well." But I guess at the same time, now you've established your business, you don't need to lean on that.
Yeah, I'm not a one to shout and scream, female decorator, female tradie, all of that. But I still get the abuse of because I'm a female in a trade. So
is that? I mean, just out of interest, have you experienced that in person, or is it all online?
years and years ago, I experienced it in person, but nothing like, I was walking past a shop and I think another decorator was coming out, an older guy, and he just said something like, "There's no space for a woman in a trade," and I just like went. But I was like very young at the time then.
Yeah,
Had it been said now, he probably would have regretted it because
yeah,
I
yeah.
say what I think. So
I don't think people. I mean, I don't know. I was going to say I don't think people would have that. But like things have changed
oh yeah,
so much, haven't they? And there's some great people coming through into
mm-hmm.
the trade as well. But I think with the way the building trades are at the moment, we just need to be grateful for anybody, regardless of sex, that are going to
Yeah,
come in and do a good
absolutely.
job. That's all it comes
Yeah,
down to. Got nothing to do with gender. And yeah, it would be ignorant to say that there hasn't been a gender divide in construction because there has for a long time.
mm-hmm.
And the statistics of male versus female workers show that, but things change.
It does. It's like they say that the whole social media side of it. It's brilliant when it's used by the right people. It is such a good tool. It's just the numbers that spoil it. And the majority of my comments, especially that are, from blokes, it is all online. It has also happened from decorators that I know from my area,
Really,
but when I've seen them in the paint merchant,
head
heads drop.
down.
They never say a thing.
I don't. I will never. I'll never get my head around the whole trolling thing. I just don't. I do not understand it from a fundamental level. If I wouldn't say it to your face, I wouldn't say it online.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
just bizarre. I don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
But some people, there's this safety barrier. It's like that they feel there's a false sense of anonymity that they're hidden behind this screen. And I think because I'm not looking at you. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's
yeah.
like that eye contact, face to face. People feel that they can just say whatever they want, even though half the stuff it's almost like reflex action
Mm-hmm.
because some of the stuff they say is just completely it makes them look stupid,
Yeah.
but it comes out, doesn't it? I mean, I know you've got some big social media platforms, haven't you?
Yeah, it's doing really well. Doing really well. I'll be honest, like when it first started, a few things went viral and it just blew up. I did get that panic of like, there's too many people know like what I do, who I am. They're going to have an opinion, and it's strange because now the more it grows, the less bothered I get. It's so weird. I'm like, I really don't care. Like, I am who I am.
I would imagine, and you're speculating, it's probably like the first time you get a shitty comment, a shitty troll, it's going to hit, isn't it? It's like, oh, fuck, like that's the
Yeah.
first one. But if you're getting that, by the 100th time, it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't have the same like penetration, does it?
No, it doesn't. But I'll be honest, I am the only human. So there's days where I know I just cannot look at social media because if I see one comment, it just tips over the edge.
Really?
Yeah. So there's days I just won't.
But you've worked out how to manage that
Yeah.
yourself.
Just how I know how I feel about the job I'm doing, like whatever job I'm on. And I'll be like, I try and set myself some time to go through comments, messages, and stuff like that. But if I'm not feeling it, I'll just be like, I'll do myself a bit of a doom scroll and just not look at anything in particular.
Yeah.
And then I'll just wait till the following day.
So I have seen you do respond to certain things as well, don't you? Some of the comments and that, which I think's hilarious.
I can't help myself sometimes, honestly. And like, my wife will say, like, that's a bit much. Like, you need to be professional. But I'm like, I'm not. Like, they're coming to me in my space.
Yeah.
So if you're going to give it, I'll give it back. I don't care who's watching.
I love it. Like, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it reflects poorly on you either, because the way you respond, it's not like it's pointing out their stupidity. Really,
Yeah.
it's not that you're being abusive. It's just like you're an idiot.
It's like,
Essentially,
I think you want to be heard so much, you've went out of your way to sit on your settee, write your comment, put your phone down, think you've had, got one over. Well, let's see how you respond to a screenshot shared to thousands of people.
exactly. People don't think it, do
Then I'll
they?
put my phone down and just enjoy my cup of tea.
That's a bizarre thing. It's and people need to learn that lesson. I don't know whether like schools need to bring in some kind of like social media etiquette lessons because it's. What do you find though in terms of like those kind of comments? Do you find it's a particular generation that are doing it?
Just middle-aged blokes, and usually they've got a holding like a fish as the profile picture, something like that.
Yeah, the fish or the two-handed selfie where they're just looking like a prison shot,
look like a thumb
kind of thing.
It's usually that. Yeah, it's usually them. But no, it can be from any. I've even had it from other women as well. Yeah, not nowhere near as many, but the ones have just been like, it was never done like this. My dad's done this for years, and it's like, has your dad used water-based products? That's been out like,
Yeah.
But I also I'll get some grief in the comments, but I can also get the same messages, the same people messaging privately saying like, fair play, I'm sorry, but could you give us some advice? But you've just rinsed us on my social media, but you want some advice.
This is what I mean, though, Joe. Like people, I can't understand it. People are mad.
It's
It's really
crazy.
bizarre how. See, I approach social media. If I'm going to comment, I am imagine myself standing there saying it to someone. Like if I'm going to say something on a comment, it's what I would say to you personally.
Yeah.
And I'm, as you can probably guess, I'm not about negativity anyway.
No.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I've gone through social media before, seen decorating stuff, and gone, don't do it that way.
Yeah.
But
But you
I
just,
can't ask to write about it. You know
yeah,
what I mean? It's
exactly.
literally like, yeah, whatever, move on. But some people just can't, can they? They get fixated on it. But
I've seen a lot of stuff as well. I'm like, before I comment, I'm going to watch this full video with sound. But this is a problem as well. So I'll get comments and messages. And I'm saying, did you watch the full video? No. Well, if you watched another 30 seconds, you'll have seen, and
yeah,
you wouldn't have the griefers. So, but I'll watch something, and if I'm like, why they're doing it that way, I'll drop them a message. Like, can I just ask, like, why have you used that? I don't know how they respond to that kind of thing on social media, so I'd rather just send them a message.
it's valid though, Joe, isn't it? Like in this realm of raised and heightened mental health awareness. Because you don't know, you don't, like you just said, like you've worked out that certain days you can't look at social media, but there's no guarantee that other people have got that same balance
Yeah.
or knowledge. Like when you send somebody a message, they could be on a great day and it could be water off a duck's back, or you could be the final straw.
Yeah.
And people just don't think like that, and it's true, and it happens where, like you said, if a job's going a particular way, if you're having a shit day at work, and
Yeah.
then somebody else pipes up and goes, "You're shit,"
It's just something as small as
yeah.
that. And it's like, you have to, I'm still trying to find the right balance for me as well. Like, I have more good days than I have bad, but, I still need to be like, I'm having such a good day, but I'm still not going to look at that. Like, as confident as I feel to reply to things, I still need to just leave it alone. And on the bad days, it's like, I don't want to reply with a comment that I'm going to regret.
Have you ever done that?
I've typed it. Never, no, that's too
Delete.
much.
Yeah.
Even for me, that's too far. Many a times.
Telling people where to shove that fish.
Oh, honestly. And I just think it's not worth it. Because a lot of the time, these people are down the country and I'm never going to see them. They're just strangers on the
100%.
internet.
Yeah, yeah.
So why put myself in a situation for somebody that's just really not worth my time? But I'll take your view. I'll take your views and your
It's
engagement.
it's a messed up system, isn't it? Because as much as I'm saying, like, people shouldn't troll people. The truth is with social media that when people do start trolling you, it's those videos that get the most views and the most engagement, and therefore they get pushed
Yeah.
out even more. So it's a bit of a toxic system, really, when you think about it, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
you need that negativity for something to do well.
And it's so, when you have, like TikTok as an example, TikTok does really well. And it's so easy to put something on for the clickbait, but I won't go down that route
Yeah.
because that's when you either open yourself up to a lot that's just unnecessary, or people start viewing you very differently as well. And it's like, oh, so now you're doing it for, the self gain or money, and that's just not what I'm about. I will never try and have a personality for social media. It's
Yeah, yeah.
just who I am.
I think I mean, me personally, I think that's the right way, because I was at an event last week or the week before talking about social media, and one of the things that went through my head was, well, surely the most unique thing that you have is yourself. There's only one Joanne Hay, but if you jump on the trends of, presenting it this way or talking about this, you're one of hundreds or one of thousands doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So that uniqueness, you're going to build. I mean, like me, I would rather have a following that's lower, that actually know me and what I'm about, rather than those. I guess you have certain reels or things that blow up, and then you might get X amount of followers, but they've not seen any of your stuff, so they don't really know you for you.
Yeah.
It's what the value is in that following, isn't it?
And it's something really like, you might do one video doing things very good or something slightly different, and you don't have any control over who sees that. So then you gain like a huge mass a following from that, and it's like you could go around and around trying to explain yourself, who you are, what you do, and you just get the abuse from here, then everywhere. And it's like, but have you watched the rest of my videos, the rest of my content? Like, so yeah, it can be a minefield, but you just have to be careful how you use it.
What's is a question for you. What is the purpose of your social media?
I'll be honest, like when I was first decorating and first started up in my business, I used it naturally to advertise, looking for work. But then I started just putting videos on, going, I'm just going to do something a bit different, for myself. That all blew up, and then people were asking advice, and I thought, well, I'll do a video on that. And then it kind of just went to, when we went back to work after the first lockdown, I thought, I'm going to jump on this TikTok trend and just see what it's about. That blew up. And then I thought, right, I don't really need this for advertising for work as such. I can use it more for just helping people. Whether that's somebody that's just doing their own, they can't really afford to get, a professional in. And that's kind of what it's done. But off the back of it, it's got other women and girls like a bit more interested, going, actually, I've always liked to do this at home, or I want to get into this, I don't know how to. And I've spoke to so many young girls of how to get into any trade. I'm like, you can do whatever trade you want. So I found me using my social media in that way has been a huge help to somebody else,
That's
whether it's
brilliant.
starting up or just, a lot of the time as well, you'll go into jobs, yourself, and somebody's been in, they've been ripped off, and you're having to start from scratch.
Let's take a quick break there to thank this episode's sponsors, Brewers Decorators Centres. Brewers have got over 200 stores nationwide. They're the premier destination for decorators, and they stock all of the best brands in the industry. Brewers give the best advice in store, and on top of that, you can get 10% off your first and second purchase, plus trade rates and free delivery when you sign up for a Brewers Pro Trade Card. A massive thanks again to Brewers for supporting the Talking Tradesman podcast and helping us raise mental health awareness throughout construction and beyond. Let's get back to the episode.
If you can give somebody a little bit of advice to at least get a bit of prep right, it saves you a headache, and it saves them a bit of money, and you can go in and do a proper job. And it's like people will say, you're giving stuff away, you're selling yourself out, like you're doing people out of work, and it's a complete opposite. If you can show a little bit of like a bit of transparency of who you are, they're already locked in. They're like, right, I know a bit about you and what you do and that kind of thing. You're giving us a little bit of advice. In fact, I'd rather just get you in to do the job.
Yeah.
It's as simple as
Joe,
that.
I agree with you 1,000,000%. I've heard that before as well, with people putting the how-to videos out there, and the pushback of shouldn't be doing that, it should be kept in the trade. I don't agree with that, because the way I see it personally is somebody that's going to watch a how-to video because they want to work out, say, how to paint their own door. They're going to paint their own door. It's just whether they do it properly or badly. and that's
That's
still not
it.
going to do it
Yeah.
professionally. But on the flip side of it, you're going to build your own respect, and there's also the element where they might just watch your how-to video and go, I better get a professional.
And that 9 times out of 10, that's what happens.
Mm.
So it's not like I'm just showing somebody how to cut in and paint a wall. They'll probably do it to their satisfaction. Yeah, they might, they save themselves a few quid, whatever. But when they look at what goes into a job, that's why I like to show all the in between.
Yeah,
There's a lot of people who just show the before, the after.
yeah.
But when you show the work, say like you're fixing somewhere that's had a damp problem and stuff like that, they'll go, actually, could you just come and give us a quote?
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
I did it last year. I put a reel out. It was just a standard room that we decorated, and I did a reel about the fact that I think I used something like 9 different paints in one. It was just a lounge, and a lounge that was probably no bigger than this part of this studio, but same thing. That there was a bit of stain blocking needing doing, bit of damp needed sorting, bit of filling that needed doing, bit of this, that, and the other, and 9 different products. Some wood that was getting painted, so we were talking adhesion primers, tanning blockers, all this kind of stuff coming together. Because that was my thought on it. It wasn't that I was trying to go, here you go do it yourself. It was like, actually, give us some respect for what we do. There's a lot that goes into this. And that was the response it got. So I'm completely with you on that.
It's more like you give somebody a price, they'll go, for that? They'll go, right, well, I'll tell you what to get and how long, the curing times that you've got, you've got to let that dry, you've got to do X, Y, and Z. And I'll put videos on like that of all the products I use, and they'll say, oh, sponsored by them. Like, you're constantly using them. That's the most expensive ceiling in the planet. It's like, honestly, it's like, if you want a job to last, then this is what you need. And chances are you're not going to go and buy it because I've got it on the van and you want to just pay me to do it. And that's what happens. But the videos as well, I mean, even just like, I put photos on of jobs done and stuff. I'll get people that message and say I've followed you for at least 6 to 8 months to see if you're consistent. But I also feel like I know you a little bit.
Yeah.
So they know me before I knock on the door.
Yeah. I've actually thought about that a lot from a male perspective, working for women. And that was one of the things that I made sure I did with my social media for my business is put a little bit about me on there, put, a bit of face to camera stuff. Because of that, the anxiety of even somebody ringing for a quote and thinking, if it's just a completely faceless, anonymous account, you don't know who's knocking the door. There's anxiety to that, isn't there? And I think it's a really great tool to anyone that's listening that doesn't do that, is get yourself. You don't have to, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I hated doing face to camera. It was like baby steps.
It took me a while.
I think
because of me Geordie accent. Because when I listen to Geordies on videos, I go, oh, that sounds horrendous. It just sounds so bad.
Geordie sure have got a lot to answer for, Joe, haven't they?
Honestly. That's just not Newcastle at all.
Yeah, I've been told that a few times.
No, it's not. But yeah, I've done like the, making videos from like behind of just rolling so they could see who I was, what I look like. And I thought, you know what, I'll do a voiceover, they can hear us.
Yeah.
And there was one video, I can't remember what it was, and I was like, I'm going to have to put my face on camera. And then I thought, it's out there now, so I might as well just get used to it.
I think with me, I went still picture. I think I set up something and took a picture. My Christ, it might have even been a selfie. So it was a still picture, then it was a voiceover, then eventually it was like face to camera recording. But if I'm honest, I don't remember what it was now, but I do remember doing about 10 different takes.
Oh, yeah.
And by the time I got to the end, I just went, I'm sick of this now, post, and just put it away. And like genuinely now, I don't care because I've done so much of this and that and all the rest of it. I just get the camera out, talk to it and post it. I don't care if my hair's done or whatever, you know what I mean? I just don't care anymore in the nicest way because I feel it's more important to be authentic. And, at the end of the day, there's no point a customer seeing me dressed in a 3-piece suit on camera because that ain't going to be what's turning up. So, it's the person that is turning up is possibly going to turn up without their hair done or with a baseball cap on or not on or, depending on what's going on. So I try to keep it authentic, but it is always in mind. I'm very methodical with what I do in terms of my social media. There's always a purpose behind it, even if it is that little subliminal. I'm just going to put this out there just to keep that contact with my customer base. Just keep my face in their mind almost. But the new customer thing, I've had that. I've had people go, interior designer I worked for years. She followed me for about 9 months. Same thing. As I saw that you did one job, popped up on my feed, but I wanted to see that every job was to a similar standard. So
and now, like back then, I was the same. Like some people will say, you sound really confident when you do the voiceovers. I'm like, yeah, but you haven't heard the 9 attempts before that.
Yeah, exactly.
So it gets to a point you go, do you know what? It is what it is. But now it's like I try to be like myself. Like I've always got either my hair, like my hair's up, paint my hair, whatever. I don't know who's watching, who's looking at me, thinking I can just be myself.
Yeah,
especially young girls will know how social media is for them. So if I can just be like, this is me most of the time, then you can be,
There's almost a lot of damage that needs to be undone. See, it worries me. I've got a daughter, so my daughter's 12. She'll be 13 this year, so she's hitting that. Like, she's very conscious of social media. She's a beautiful little girl. But it worries me, the standards that are set as like a norm. And I do think that people do need to be more natural on camera. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying like everyone should go on with no makeup. Like, I don't mean that. I just mean without all the filters and all the unrealistic stuff, the AI and all that. And I think, going a bit deep here, but I think as people, like, we crave that human connection anyway. You can't get that connection to somebody. I remember I read some research on TikTok. I must admit, TikTok's the one platform I have found the hardest to grow because if I'm honest, with the clips I do from the podcast and that, I publish pretty much the same clip on all platforms. And they do different, different ones will do different figures on different ones. TikTok I've found the hardest to grow the following, but what I found, or what I read an article was that actually TikTok, the content that does the best is the most natural. So just not the overly polished. So just like literally phone in hand to face, which I don't do a lot of. Not because I don't want to, I just time is a constraint for me. But yeah, it proves that to me, actually, people are craving that like real.
I think like I'm from that last generation before all of the social media, everything else. So it's like, as this is going, I'm trying to go, no, but like, remember this. We need to get back this because it's so important for these little eyes and ears.
Massively.
And what they are taking in. So if they can just see people that are just themselves using it in the right way, and people weren't numpties, everything will be fine.
It's frightening. So I studied psychology, and part of it was social science, and there was it really intrigues me because, unfortunately, my kids fall into this where they're like that generation that have grown up with social media from all the way through. I'm 40, so I think social media came in, or mobile phones came in probably when I was like 15, 16. Social media, I stayed off it for a long time. I was really anti-social media. In fact, I've only been on social media for the past 10 years. So prior to that, I didn't touch it. It was my wife that actually was like, you're missing such a trick business-wise. Because I didn't even have the business on Facebook, nothing. I just ran off word of mouth and local area and all that. I was so like, social media is evil. Which I still kind of believe.
It is, but it's just those people. It's those evil people. Yeah.
But when I studied psychology, part of the research was around female suicide figures, and the spike as soon as Facebook was launched, with like the age group like 14 to 18 girls, the suicidality per head of capita. The year Facebook launched, it literally, the graph goes like this and then just straight up.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, social media, the link, that age category. So the worst age categories for women when it comes to suicide, the most at risk are, and I think I'm right on this, but please feel free to correct me. I think it's like 14 to 18 or 21, and then the next age category is like 40 to like menopause kind of onset age. Those are the two like key danger areas.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and as I say, but the younger one coincides with the invention of Facebook, and that the constant social media sort of thing being there.
Yeah.
It's a dangerous thing, like you said. It's a tool for great good and great evil at the same time.
Absolutely. It's like using it in the right ways, but also what I found, especially like in decorating, we've such a good family of decorators who've actually
Yeah,
met up and chatted and that kind of thing. So having that nice little group around is
I
it's
think
been
it's
a massive
vital for
help.
that. Yeah. Well, again, I mean, the podcast was set up to raise awareness around the mental health crisis in construction and have these conversations. And one of the things that comes up over and over again is working in isolation being a big causal factor.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the great things with social media, and particularly the decorating community, as we can attest to, is that you can kind of navigate that a bit. Like, I work on my own loads, I'm
I'm the
sure you
same,
do.
yeah.
But having that connection through social media of Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, whatever you're on, of that like little family where you can post a story on Instagram and then 2-3 of your mates from all across the country
Yeah,
will send you a reply. It gives you that connection that
yeah.
a lot of us are craving.
I found as well, like, I don't have any personal social media now. Like, I've only used my work ones.
Okay.
I just got thinking like sick of that as well. But I found like the platforms, see, like TikTok is just full of everything and everybody. Like trolls are massive on there. Also, there's a lot of decorators that will just give you shit like for no reason. So I feel like that's the worst. Then Facebook, and I feel like Instagram really is the more everybody's just got time for each other and just appreciates what everybody's doing. People will send you a message like just so supportive on all your posts. And I don't feel like you get that on the
Elsewhere,
rest. And
I'd agree with that. I don't know. I think my perception into it is Instagram seems to keep your content a little bit more in your tribe.
yeah,
I think Facebook, like if a reel or something does well on Facebook, seems to just go to everyone,
yeah,
and you get like the world and you get the Americans commenting on
yeah,
things, and things are done differently over there. And again, like the way that they talk is very different. And I think TikTok's a little bit like that, isn't it? It seems to your content just goes out to everyone rather than
yeah,
your people, for want
yeah,
of a better expression.
yeah, absolutely. I just feel like having that little thing of the closeness that our trade has, like you don't really see it anywhere else. And that became a huge thing for me when in the first lockdown. That's when I lost my mum.
I'm sorry to hear that.
So it's she passed away before she had ovarian cancer, and she was diagnosed in 2016. But in the first lockdown, obviously we couldn't go to work, so I had all of that time just with
Okay.
her, which I wouldn't have got. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like a silver lining, every cloud kind of thing. But I try and take the positives from that. So then going back to work, that's when I really kind of pushed my social media, and that sort of helped me stay on.
Let's pause this episode there a moment to thank this episode's sponsors, Axis Decor, and take a minute to talk about the Silk Touch Ultra range. This range of brushes and rollers have hydrophobic filaments that maintain firmness in all paints, spreading them further. They resist paint build-up for easy maintenance, and they remain fine at the tip for exact filament to surface, placement and finer strokes. Further to that, they've got texturised tips delivering streak-free results. They hold paint back for even, controlled release. And thanks to their elastic tech, they bend to control as you like, and they have unrivaled shape retention. Built with a slip-resistant etched handle and corrosion-resistant stainless ferrule, these brushes are fantastic. As you can see, there's a range of these in front of me now. Big thank you to Access Decor for supporting the podcast and helping us raise mental health awareness. Let's get back to the episode.
Track a little bit.
So we've skipped a massive part, Jo, haven't we? Let's go back a little. We'll get there. Let's go back to you setting up business essentially and how that all came about. So obviously you did your apprenticeship and then you came out. You went straight to work for yourself.
Yeah.
So how old would you have been then? Like 18, 19, 17,
19-ish.
19?
Yeah.
How did that go?
It was hard. Don't get us wrong, it was really hard, but I was like, right, I'm just going to get stuck in, get things printed off. I will go and post them through doors. And I did, and I'd done that for a few years, and I don't know what it was. I just got to a point, I was sick. This is not for me. I hate it.
What side of it was it? What did you get sick of?
I don't know. I felt like I just didn't have anything I was working for. I was like, it's all I knew. So that's why I just went straight into it. I just needed a timeout. And then that's when I met Kelly, and we got together, and I was like, I don't know what I want to do. Bless her, how she didn't run a mile.
Big shout out Kelly, by the way, who's sat round the corner very quietly, keeping herself to herself, just got a wave. But yeah, big shout out to Kelly.
Bless her, yeah. She went through and helped us say, what's the pros and cons of it? What else are you interested in? That kind of thing. And I was like, right, I had some time out. I'd done some other jobs, hated them, couldn't work for anybody else. I was like, I need to work for myself. But I need to put everything into it. But at this time I had, Kelly, and she was like, right, we'll do it together. So we made key rings, we made all sorts, went and posted them, sent things out in the post to different, just everywhere.
I'm sat here smiling like there's a romance to that, Jo. We were talking about this pre-record, but I think there's a lot of people, today's generation, are never going to have to do that or experience it. But I've done it myself, set up in a new area, put letters through doors or put leaflets through doors. It just don't happen now, does it? Because social media is such a giant. But yeah, there's a romance to that, and key rings and all that kind of thing.
Everything, even my mum, before, when she was well, we were out in the pissing down the rain. She was with us, and we were putting letters, leaflets through doors. Got a few phone calls. It was great. So
what did you do? Target wealthy areas and
not more. Just I thought, you know what, I'm going to go my local area as well, and just kind of so I don't have to do too much, and I'm quite close to home. The jobs started coming in, and things are going really, really well. And then it was a couple of years later, my mum was diagnosed. So I just felt everything was really good, and then it was just deal with this then. So I had 3 years, doing really well. Social media was picking up. Then my mum was really poorly. And then that's when we went kind of into the lockdown. But balancing my mum being poorly and me trying to be there, go to hospital with her, coming off a job early because she wasn't well, that, it did affect us a lot. But
I'm sure it did.
That was tough.
That's one of those things, Jo, isn't it, where I don't think the self-employed get enough credit because we have all these things that, I've said this before, life's hard.
Yeah.
And the older you get, unfortunately, everyone's going to go through loss, bereavement, there's relationship breakdowns, all these kind of things. And I went through a divorce myself, which was the trigger for me paying attention to mental health.
Yeah.
But all the time you got to work through it. You got to put that smile on. You got to turn up. And I mean, I don't know about you, but some of my worst days, you'd turn up, knock Mr. and Mrs. Smith's door, and right, Russ, how was your weekend? Yeah, good, thanks. How was yours? And when really I'm that was one of the worst weekends of my life. Yeah, but absolutely. Let's go again.
Yeah.
And you have to, don't you? You have to keep that sort of front up. I don't know how you sort of coped in that period of your life, but
it was just the same. You just think, well, you feel shit, okay, go home. You're not going to get paid.
Yeah.
or you just crack on, get it done, go
Feel
home.
shit at work, and at
Yeah.
least you're going to get paid for it.
But there
Yeah.
was, of course, there's been many a times I've got to the job and like I had a bad few days, bad weekend, like with looking after my mum, and I'd get there and like I'd get like 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, I'm going home. I'm just not doing, because I know as well it's going to affect the job.
Yeah.
Just go home and start again the next day. I've done that quite a few times.
Yeah. You just from a couple of things you've said, it seems like you know yourself quite well, like in
It took a
terms
long
of
time. I'll be honest, like when we first could go back to work after that lockdown, I still had some extra time off when my mum passed.
yeah,
I thought, right, I'm just going to give myself some time. I'll get myself sorted. But I found myself like starting to drink gin at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
yeah, yeah.
I don't
Like
even,
2 o'clock in the afternoon is quite late, Joe. To be
and
honest,
I
for
don't
some.
even like gin.
Joe, it's a laugh, but it's no laughing matter, is it? Do you know, I've spoken to a few people, a few former guests, who have had issues around drink and are now sober, but were like alcoholism, and that was the trigger point, was the lockdowns and this weird period of time where all of a sudden it was okay to crack a bottle of wine open at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
And it was like this giant summer holiday for everyone.
That's people who were like weren't going through anything like that. They had a whale of a time.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
after going through what I did, like I was with my mum every minute of the day, and I seen that rapid deterioration. And it's like, right, okay, but you still can't go back to work. So you're still going to deal with this, then try and go back to work. And
Yeah,
it took a huge.
I can imagine there's two sides of the coin there, aren't there? And the reason I say this, a personal experience. So my grandfather was more like my father, and he was one that established the business back in the 60s, and me and him were tight. Like, me and him were really, really close, and I lost him to cancer. And at the time, I took a few days off, threw myself into work, and probably suppressed the whole thing for years. I didn't give myself time to grieve. I didn't give myself time to process it. And it was honestly probably 10 years later that I've actually worked through,
Yeah,
and to the point where me sitting here talking about that to you, I couldn't have done it.
yeah.
Like, I couldn't talk about him. I couldn't talk about the situation, nothing. So the reason I bring that up is I can imagine, as horrible as it was, it probably actually gave you time to process.
It did, but I kind of didn't do things in the right way. So I always knew I wasn't. I was never like a heavy drinker. Like I never, I'm still not. But during that time, I just wasn't doing things in the right way to try and give myself time to understand. And then I went back to work, and it come to that one night where I did have a drink. I had friends round, and I said to my wife, I was like, if something's gonna come out, I want it in my own safe space. And by God, it came out. I like destroyed, like, my living room, everything. So I was just like full of drink. It
Really?
all came out, yeah. And I've never been that drunk again in my life,
Yeah.
because I'm still a bit, I don't want it to. It's not a nice feeling. I don't want that to happen again. So I'm trying to deal with things every day the best I can to not be in that kind of space.
Appreciate you sharing that, mate, because it's not an easy thing to talk about.
Oh, so you seen cupboard smashed in half and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
At least you can fix them afterwards,
just
though,
put
Joe.
up with some stuff Kelly has.
Yeah. But do you know what? It's a common thing, though. It really is. A lot of people go through these things and just don't talk about it. That's the
Yeah.
difference. Like, not we all go through it, but a lot of people go through it, and we just don't talk about it. Like, it's okay to have those moments. It's okay, as long as hopefully you're not hurting anyone, but it's okay to break down now and
Yeah.
again. Like, life is fucking hard,
Yeah.
and losing people you love, like, we're not wired up to deal with. There's no set, like, right, here's your 10-point program on what you're going to do now. And I've found grief to probably be the worst amongst that, because it seems to sit there for, some people will process grief in months, some people years, some people decades, some
Yeah.
people never.
I found that it like many people kind of warn me about the third year.
Okay.
Is the third year is kind of like that acceptance year. So the first year you deal with, you don't know what's going on. The second year you kind of know what's coming. The third year is where you're like, right, okay, this is where I accept that this is life now. And I think that's when it was leading up to our third year anniversary. That's when it kind of hit me a bit more. So now when I still get those little triggers of things, the usual Mother's Day stuff, but
Yeah.
I try and I'm very unfortunate. I've still got my nana, my
Oh,
mum's
okay.
mum.
Yeah.
So she has been like a massive thing for me, like keep me on a straight path. Probably a lot more than she realises. And just how. So my nana has lost a husband and 2 kids to cancer, and how that woman is still going.
Wow.
So I see her every day, and I'm just like, if you can do it, I
Tough
can do it.
generation, mate, when they
Built different.
yeah, yeah. There's no shit that genuinely built different.
Yeah.
I'm the same. I've got one of my grandparents, left my dad's mum, and similar. Like she's lost a child, she's lost her husband, and the same thing. Like, but they're just different.
Yeah.
I don't think that generation, that kind of, I don't know whether it's strength or whatever it is, it's not on its way back anytime
She
soon.
always says to me, like, you've just got to get on with it.
Mm,
You know, the world's not going to stop. And everybody's going through it. Everybody goes through this and through that. And you've you've just got to get on with it.
yeah,
I'm like, so and I always say to Kelly as well, like, I strongly believe if I didn't have me nana here after losing my mum, I would be
off the
I would
rails.
have went west.
Mm,
So I'm very lucky. Obviously, like without Kelly as well, but me nana give me like I think that I've just shifted focus
yeah.
from my mum to her.
Mm, yeah, I can understand that. It's so there's no rule book for it, Joe. Is
No.
there? There's some people deal with it well, some people don't. Some people go off the rails, some people don't, and then some people will go off the rails 10 years later.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, I know myself processing the grief that I went through. I just bottled it,
Yeah.
literally just stuck a lid on it and went, nope, not dealing with that.
Yeah.
And it didn't do me any favors,
Mm-hmm.
really didn't. And then, if anything, it was more painful later down the line because it
Yeah.
was kind of like, lift the lid a little bit, no, stick it back on.
Yeah.
No, that hurts. To actually fully rip it off and go, right, I'm gonna think about everything that happened and process it all.
Mm-hmm.
Christ, man, that was, yeah, it wasn't fun. And still, there's still things that I struggle to talk about regarding that situation
Mm-hmm.
now. But
Yeah.
it's a work in progress and probably always will be.
I think that's what a lot of that comes down to as well, is we have to give ourselves time off. We have to listen to our bodies, because I've learned over the years I've completely burnt out to the point I've been ill, like really unwell. And then now I'm like, if I'm not feeling great, I'm delaying that job by a day, 2 days. Or if I'm just not feeling great mentally, like it comes up my mum's anniversary and stuff like that, I'm
Will
like,
you give yourself time off?
yeah, if I need it. Because I just think,
Good.
their living room's always going to be there.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
it's
paint.
yeah. Mate, yeah, I'll smile because I'm like, again, I'll preach one thing and do another
But
myself.
I say that
But
as well, and there's many a times I'm like, I need to get that job done.
yeah,
I'll just go, I'll get this one done, and then I'll find some time, and it's like, now, like, your health will be like, well, I'll just make it. I'll make you find the time.
I I mean, I did this probably about 6 to 8 weeks ago. Last year, I did burn myself out. Come to Christmas last year, I was really like on that. When Christmas landed, it was perfect timing because I had nothing left in the tank. I
Yeah.
was exhausted. I mean, I'd gone through just refurbing this place, plus still running my business full time. So I was finishing work, coming here and working till like 10, 11 o'clock, then going home, starting again. And I finished this place and I had this done for a week and I kind of chilled. And then my wife, we had a situation where we had to move her business, a salon, so then straight into another after hours refurb.
Yeah.
Murdered me.
Wow.
But went through all of that. Christmas hit, kind of chilled a bit. And I swore to myself this year, so I'm not doing that. Exactly what you're saying. How important. Don't get me wrong, if any of my clients are watching, it's very important. But it isn't life or death. It's not water pouring through a ceiling. It's, a few days aren't really going to make a big difference. I swore I wouldn't put the pressure on myself, and I have not abided by it.
You don't?
Yeah. About 6 to 8 weeks ago now, I had a customer. One job ran over, had a customer on holiday. I promised I'd have the job done by the time they got back, and I caught the flu. I'm not talking man flu here. I'm not talking sniffles. I'm talking flu, hot and cold, fever, waking up, pools of sweat in the night, like really rough. Up being sick the first night of it, and took myself to work every day, 4 days, and I was struggling, but had it in my head, I have to finish this job by Friday. Customers coming back Monday. The customer turned out the best bit. Customer was in Australia. There was a typhoon or something. I don't know what a typhoon is. Cyclone, something. Anyway, they were stuck by something and didn't come back until 3 days later. So I could have had the time off, but took myself to work through it. And everyone, like my son, my wife, like, you can't go to work like that. I've got no choice. This is like, how it is.
Even you get the scratchy throat. You think, I'll be fine. I'll just And no, it's not, because by the second day you are like trying to hold yourself up. But I think last year, you were on a live, and I told you I was ill with the flu. I just got over it.
Yeah.
So last year really hit us both because. So this is another story. I fell out with one of my brothers for years. Anyway, he didn't have a good relationship with my mum. Basically, it wasn't, how do you put it? The person he was with at the time.
Right.
It was going on years, kind of brainwashed him, should we say. Anyways, we all fell out for years. And last year, he finally found it in himself to go, I'm done. He left. We didn't have much of a relationship. We kind of started to see each other a little bit in passing in certain situations. We'd say hello, got talking. So when this all came up, he had to find somewhere else to live. And I don't know what it was. I don't know if I just done it like because like for my nana's sake, he was staying at my nana's. Also thinking of my mum. We got him sorted out into a new flat. We done the place out for him. Burnt myself out in the October, like finishing work, going straight there, working weekends, trying to get him in before Christmas and stuff. We've built a relationship back to brother and sister, really good. And then it got to the Christmas and we were just wiped, literally to the point. I got up one morning to go to work, and all of a sudden I just like felt my lungs had filled up with fluid. And I couldn't breathe at all. I just really struggling to breathe.
Yeah.
And then had to get an ambulance and everything. And that was just because we completely burnt myself out, ended up with the flu, and then just managed to get sorted for Christmas, enjoy that, and then it was just back full throttle again.
Christ.
So it's just been...
It is. I mean, it's the truth, isn't it? Because burnout is such a real thing. I've got somebody talking about people who walked in. There's a local mental health nurse who specialises in burnout, and you've just reminded me. I've been meaning to get her in for a conversation, so I'm going to do that. But burnout is such a real thing in the trades, and it's what you just said about your immune system, and it's proven. Like if your sleep pattern is disrupted or if you're physically burnt out, your immune system just nosedives.
Yeah.
So you pick up everything going round, don't you? Yeah. Colds, flus and everything. Do you find that's like a signal for you?
Yeah, I start to feel like I start getting like scratchy throat or the the block nose and stuff like that. And I'm like, nope, because generally I look after myself. I'm even if Kelly comes home and she's got full of cold, I very rarely catch it
Okay.
if I'm in a good place,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But if I am burnt out and I start feeling it, that's when that's me done. But when I start to feel that now, I'm like, right, I'm putting that job back. I have to, because it's
How far do
so.
you book in advance, Joe? Like you?
At one time, it would be silly because I was frightened of not having the
Yeah,
work.
yeah.
But now I'm very fortunate where I don't have to worry about that. I know I'm always going to have that, a good few months. But even still now, I try and pull it back even to like 3 to 4 months.
Yeah,
Anything if it was less than three, I would be a bit panicky.
yeah, yeah.
But it used to be like 8 months and
The
so
reason
on.
I'm in the
But
same spot,
now,
and that's what I'm trying to do this year. Is exactly that.
yeah,
Is not go so far, because it used to petrify me. I used to do the same thing where I'd book myself up like 8, 9 months in advance, and I'd put like little break points in, maybe a week every 2 months,
yeah,
and inevitably, what I'd do, you couldn't fit us in, could you?
oh
Oh,
God,
go on then. And then all my break points get
yeah,
chopped up, and then I look at it and I'm like, I am literally booked solid for 7 or 8 months, no breaks, no holidays, and if I get ill, the thought of that ripple
yeah.
effect,
Oh, it's awful.
yeah,
It's horrible.
of like, actually I'm running a week late, and actually, oh Christ, now that's 16 phone calls I've got to make, and now that customer can't do that date because they're actually on hot.
Yeah,
Oh, and that's what drives you to
yeah.
go to work through illness and injury.
So now, for years, I will never work a weekend unless a job was to run over. Then
Yeah.
to get it done. But I will never book anything in on a weekend. I try and do like every 90 days, I'll have like a long weekend or 4 days off, something like that. But every time, I'm always having to get the next year's diary within like 6 months in advance and make sure I'm blocking things out. And Kelly's like, that you're not working them, because she'll book holidays, like holidays in work as
Yeah,
well.
that's good.
So it's like, you can't book anything because we've got something planned. Or I'm like, right.
Do you know, to anyone listening, I mean, what you're listening to is somebody with a successful business. Take advice. Take advice from this, because it's learned. I'm sure you'd say the same. Like with me, it's learned through mistake.
Oh,
It's learnt through like, I've cocked up this, and like I said, I did it last year. I say I did it last year. I didn't make a mistake. My work life has actually been sound in terms of my business, but doing this on top
yeah.
kind of ramped everything up a lot. That's why this year I was like, oh, I'm going to manage this a bit better. It probably is a bit better than last year, but it's still not where it needs to be.
Yeah, I'm the same. And like I said, I'd done it last year myself. And you learn over the years, but now I know it's, I get those little signals.
Yeah.
I can't ignore them warnings.
Your body tells you, doesn't it?
Yeah,
It's just whether you listen.
that's it. So now I have to start listening, and by just reining it in a bit on like with the diary, it's, if I can't get that job done, I'm like, oh, it's only another like a month. I can just put it there. So I don't have that anxiety of like, when am I going to get them back in? And if it's no good for them, okay, we'll find another date then. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, I'm fighting off either like illness or something,
Yeah.
or burnout. So you either don't have the job done or you just wait a bit longer. It's entirely up to you.
I mean, we all respect our customers and our clients, because without them, we'd have no business. But the harsh reality of the matter is, if you can't do that job, they'll find somebody else to do it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
But your friends and family and people that love you won't find another you if you're run into the ground,
yeah,
because it translates to, it sounds extreme, but it translates to a lot of things, doesn't it? It translates to driving tired, mistakes you might make there, mistakes you might make while you're at work, working at height, working, and the little things, because some of the stuff we do, anything in the construction industry, and there'll be people going, oh, you're only a decorator, but we're up ladders.
exactly.
There's
Yeah,
still danger
of course there
involved.
is. So it's even like, it doesn't sound like a big problem. Oh yeah, you might, you didn't put some undercoat on. Yeah, but then I've got to go back because it's failed. do maybe another day or two and not get paid for it and put myself back again,
Yeah.
then I'm, you're just chasing yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, it doesn't matter what the job is, you still need to listen.
There was the one, Joanne, my granddad always used to say to me, it was the only one that he used to enforce wallpapering. Russ, if you're tired, go home.
Yeah, yeah.
Do not try and hang wallpaper tired. I remember he always used to bang on about it. And he was like, look, if you've had a great day and you're tired at 2:00, just stop, because I guarantee you'll make a mistake. And we do some specialist wallpaper installation. I mean, just last week I was hanging paper that was not particularly expensive these days. So it was $150 a roll, but I'd got 3 rolls with no waste. So then, to translate this to anyone listening, if I get that wrong, it's not just, I've got to pay £150 to replace the paper. It's going to be a different batch.
Yeah.
So then actually I've got to pay £450. Plus then I've got the delivery delay, which could be, 3 to 4 working days. If you're lucky, take out weekends. Maybe you've delayed the job a week now and it's cost me 450 quid
Yeah.
and I've got to strip it and redo it in my own time. That job that was profit is now loss.
Yeah.
All through potentially one mistake because I was tired.
And
It's
it's also other things we work with now, spray machines, how dangerous they are.
Yeah.
And if you're not switched on because you just didn't take that time out,
100%.
and that's something I'm new to now as well. So
me.
it's something else that...
Yeah, I think we're on that journey relatively new together. So I did my training with Jamie at Abode in November, late November.
Right, yeah.
And I know you went over to Ian at Spray Tech recently. Paint Tech, sorry.
in Preston,
sorry,
yeah.
Ian.
That was in the January.
Yeah, similar times.
So, yeah, it's
whole new world to explore, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a very humbling thing. Like, you think you've got it, and then the next job would say, no, you haven't.
Do you know what though, Joe? Like, this was it with me. It's great to learn a new skill, but at the same time, there's that little bit of me going, I thought I knew everything. Do you know what I mean? I thought I had it in the bag with however many years experience, and then you get into spraying. And because with spraying, anyone who sprays will know, I think you've got decorators that spray, and then you've got sprayers, the people that just spray. And it's a new trade.
Yeah.
Within, it's not, yes, okay, we're all using paint, but it's a new trade.
To go into somewhere and literally just spray, and that, like the whole kitchen, the kitchen and stuff, that's talent, that's skill.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is the other thing as well, like going on this spraying journey. I've had some great phone calls with Ian as well. He's been a really good help. And he's like, just pick up the phone and stuff like that. So I felt really confident in doing it, but I also want to show the mistakes. I want to show me progress, because I get so many comments saying it's easy. It's easy, man. It is not.
No,
What are you doing to find it so easy? Because it is really not.
I think a more accurate statement would be it's fast when you get it right.
Yeah.
But there's a big caveat there of when you get it right. And it is fast, but it's not easy. Just because something's fast don't mean it's easy. Because essentially you lose the time on the front end of doing all the prep.
Yeah.
And then when you're new to the machines and you got to learn it all, it's I've done the training, but we haven't actually started spraying yet. Because
I've done one job, but it was a very forgiving job.
Yeah.
It was like the egg and dark coven.
Okay.
And it was massive. Like the whole house had it in, and it was just all white. I thought, right, I can't go wrong, really.
Yeah.
So the feel of doing that and getting it done in such a short space of time and actually dry back really well, I was like,
yeah,
I'm going to spray the living room ceiling. So the following week, it was just like...
I might have had some inside information earlier today that one of your walls at home is still half sprayed.
True story. Probably just going to put a Christmas tree in front of it. Oh, yeah. So I'm getting there with it, and I am enjoying it, but it's something else that I'm going to, when I do it, I want to show more of it.
Yeah.
Because this is another thing. I'm kind of, what's the word? I'm showing the vulnerability side of that as well, of learning something new.
Yep.
And how hard it can be, and I'm putting myself out there as well to nobody can say I'm shit at that. 'Cause I'm like, I know I'm shit at this, and I'm showing you I'm shit.
Yeah, credit to
So
that.
it's even the most experienced of decorators, if they wanted, try and get into something like that.
It's a
And
new skill.
yeah,
It's a new skill. Nobody picks it up and just is amazing. In fact, like the future of my business, as I said to you before, my son's come into the business now. And when he came into the business, what I said to him was like, right, I want to get you trained up in all the things that I don't do,
yeah,
spraying being one. So prior to that, I do, we've done a lot of like XVLP, HVLP spraying. So the more detailed work. So like we do contracts for a few like cabinet makers and
yeah,
like bespoke made cabinetry, MDF wardrobes, and like I've got an understairs unit to do soon. So I've done quite a lot of that. But the airless, like the whole room spraying, I haven't
yeah.
really done. That's what I said to Alfie. I'm like, I want you to, to train you up in the more bespoke elements of the trade. Because personally, I think that's where the future of our industry
It's
is
moving
heading.
so quick,
Yeah,
and I think it is really important. Like you get what it says the dinosaur decorators
yeah,
saying it's a load of crap. You should be doing this. You don't use that, but it's like you're not using these products. So it's like unless you try them, and you have to learn the different processes and
yeah.
ways of working for them to work well. You can't use old ways of working and expect that product to last the same. Like everything's adapting. You have to move with it, or you'll just be left behind. And spraying is part
100%.
of that.
Yeah.
So
What the thing is, like, my theory on this, I love the fact that the dinosaurs are there. Like, I see it, I see the industry as a pyramid. So you're going to have more of the bottom layer, and those people, there's a place for them. There's work for them. There's custom for them.
yeah,
But it's not the custom that I'm aiming at. It's not
yeah,
the work I'm aiming at. But leave them to it. The issue is there's this weird thing where change is just labelled as shit. It's either amazing or shit. There's nothing in between. There's no like middle ground on anything. It's same as work. Like you compare people who compare each other's work on forums and things. It's
yeah,
either the best ever or utter shite. There's no like, do you know what? You've done a slightly above average job there. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like and nobody ever takes into consideration the customer spec. Like I personally, I put myself in. We do lots of high end domestic work. That's my customer demographic, but I'm not exclusive to that. I don't turn my nose up to anyone that
yeah,
wants
yeah,
to pay.
yeah.
The job we've just done, multi-million-pound house, brilliant customer, but there's certain parts of the house that are older than others. And I had the conversation with him where I went, "How far do you want me to go, mate?
Yeah,
I could spend 3 days prepping this." And he was like, "Russ, the walls are a bit battered. It's an old cottage. Do you know what? If we want the walls perfect, we'll have them reskimmed. Can you just paint it?"
yeah, yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, of course. But if I put those pictures up, some dickhead's going to go, "Oh, look, I haven't even filled that,"
That
or
job
that
hasn't
look,
seen
that
sandpaper.
yeah, that wall's a bit ripply. I'm like, yeah, because it's a 200-year-old wall. But you don't get to put that across. So I can't put on my post. By the way, I had this conversation with my customer. He
Yeah,
said he wanted, a mid-range finish rather than a perfect finish. And it's been able to get that information
yeah,
across without just, being jumped on. But what I was getting at, I've gone off on a right rant. The dinosaurs, I think we need them.
yeah,
I really do.
yeah. You're right.
Because if you haven't got people out there putting out that level of work, I'm going to refrain from labelling it, that level of work, they're not going to appreciate the top level of work. You need the bottom to see the top.
So this is the thing when people in other trades say, "If you can piss, you can paint." I like them.
Yeah, they can.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
absolutely.
Yeah,
But not like them. That's the
exactly.
difference.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're absolutely right. And I just like,
There's so many levels to it, Joe, isn't
oh
there? And
yeah,
there's some exceptional tradespeople, craftspeople that you'll see on social media. Like their standard of work, 100% has raised my game. When
oh
I
yeah,
joined
of course,
social
yeah,
media, I looked and thought, geez, I thought I was really good. I've got work to do.
yeah.
And I've definitely raised my bar.
But and I do that as well. Like it does not matter how experienced you are. You will come across a job or a product, or you see somebody doing something, and you're like, actually, I should have done that.
Yeah.
Or like I thought that was really good, but they've used that product and I've never seen it before.
Yep.
That's what it's all about. And if we could all just be a bit more like that, we would be just such a better trade in general.
100%. You just got to be open to
Yeah.
change. And those that lock themselves off, you're quite right, they will be left behind, but good. Like,
Yeah.
leave them there. Because to me, again, yeah, I had a job, perfect example, right? Recent example, the revolution that is roll-on fillers, rollable
Yeah.
fillers. Listen, I'm sorry, if you're not in the decorating industry, I apologise for all the trade talk, but roll-on fillers.
Yeah.
Same thing, saw a few people use them and thought, oh, it's tweaked my interest. Initially, I thought, too good to be true, can't be right. Eventually, I've tried them out and yeah, fantastic. But recently, I went to quote a job where there was somebody's wall. It was in a bit of a state. The customer did not want lining paper. Don't know why. They were just well against lining paper. And had been told by the other person that went to quote the only way to do it was to have the whole room reskimmed. I turned up and I said, well, look, there's this new product on the market. Here's a job I've done with it. Here's some pictures of that. I can fix that for you. Over the moon. Won the job, done the job. Customer, thinks the sun's shining out of, and that's a perfect example of a new product to market, new application method, new finish method, and new results.
But it's like there's still so much ignorance from other tradespeople about decorators and stuff. But with likes of that product, there's so many of those decorators saying this just eliminates the plasterer. No, it doesn't. Like, I'm not ignorant to know the graft that goes into that plasterer's work.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? But then there's a lot of plasterers that'll say, I can paint. Like, I can paint it after I've plastered it. You can, but it's going to look shit.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's such a... Yeah.
The point is, anybody can apply paint, pretty much.
I can apply plaster, but it probably won't stay up.
Exactly. I mean, I could get my daughter in here today with a roller, a bucket, and some paint, and go on, and she would get some of it on the wall. But like you say, it's there's so many levels, there's so many standards to achieve. But that's what I mean. I'm like dead happy that the bottom layer has to exist in order for the top to exist. Because you take that foundation out, it's all going to come falling down.
Yeah, of course.
And it illustrates our value, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, brilliant. Go and do those daft things. Go and just paint over that wallpaper. Go and do all that, because then when the higher levels turn up and go, well, and that, again, there's another great thing about social media I've found is that customers now, they know a little bit more about what can be achieved and what they expect.
Just because you've shown it as well. So it's like, it's very rare now that I hear, I've got somebody in cheaper.
Yeah.
It's very, very rare I hear that. And if I do, I'm like, okay, no problem. I'm not going to, you do that. But now they'll be like, I've seen how you do that, and I'm happy to pay for that. I want a proper job.
Yeah.
So that's just because I've shown how to do one simple thing. So what comes off the back of that is pretty amazing.
Yeah. I've had other decorators' work referenced to me as well by customers. I mean, shout out Wes at WKPD. I had a customer reference his doors, and they were like, can you do this to my door? I'm like, yes, I can, but do you want to know the cost?
Yeah.
Because, that's the reality of it.
Absolutely.
And, so again, credit to people like Wes, like yourself, like some of the other great decorators that are out there, putting that work out there, because it educates people. And once you educate people, I'm a great believer that a rising tide raises all boats. So once we can illustrate to our clients the work, the processes that goes in, with the trade look, I've been doing it 25 years, I've been running the business, it has changed.
Yeah.
And I've said a few times now, you get the people that go, 40 years work in the trade, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I'm not taking away, all experience has value to it, but, and I'll say this about my own experience, my own application methods and preparation methods from 25 years ago are fucking irrelevant. If I'm honest, the experience in the trade now that is relevant to me now is probably only 10 years old at max. Beyond that, everything I did prior to that, when I started in the business, it was all hand sanding, oil-based paints. You had 3 emulsions total. Yeah. It was either matte, soft sheen, or silk. Sheen ratings were not a thing. Nobody
Yeah.
talked about percentage. It was just a different world.
Yeah.
And now all that product knowledge is just wiped out because it's irrelevant
Yeah.
to me and my business now.
Mm-hmm.
So I always get a bit like, there's always a bit of a smirk on my face. People go, oh, I've been in the business 40 years. Well, yeah, and how
But
much of that's relevant now?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why you're saying, like, you start that foundation is kind of where you get your feet on the ground, and you're moving with it, but you're also moving with all of these products. So if we didn't have that, then you wouldn't have that. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
There's something else I've learned, and I teach myself over and over and remind myself, like the saying, "You're only as good as your last job." But I don't think that's true, because, like you say, working in those 100-year-old cottages to working in a new build house now, you can only do so much with both,
Yeah.
and it completely depends on the client as well. So yes, I finished some jobs and I'm like, I know I could have done that better. I know I could have went a lot further with that and it would look so much better. But that wall in this building is not going to allow me to do it.
Yeah.
Or the client's like, it's not what I want. And I think people, social media as well, they'll see all the perfect stuff and think that's how it has to be every single
Yeah.
time, and it's not possible. As long as you're doing that good job, you're getting paid and your customer's happy.
That's it's ego versus business, Joe, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's you'd be the same. There's certain jobs where I look at and I think, oh my god, I would love to spend weeks just getting this A1. But realistically, the customer's not going to appreciate it, therefore doesn't want to pay for it. I've had a few tricky customers over the last few years. I'd accredit that to social media, probably more so than any other period in my business. And I've had to have very honest conversations with them where they are wanting perfection.
Yeah.
Like we're talking inspection lights, we're talking all these kind of things on surfaces. And I'll be like, look, I can spend as long in here as you want. But if you want each room in your house to end up costing you $4 or $5 to decorate, how does that sound? Well, no way.
Yeah.
Well, then, it can't be. You've got to pick. I'm happy to deliver whatever finish you want, but there's a price tag to it.
Of course, yeah. Like, yes, it's achievable, but you're going to pay through the nose for it. Like that's how it is.
Yeah.
And then that's when it comes back to, like, well, if you can piss, you can paint. No, but you're not getting that finish.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. So I think as well, when I started putting stuff on social media and people are saying, you're doing people out of work, you're doing yourself out of work, I'm not. If anything, it weeds out those people that can't achieve that, because there's plenty that can and that do.
Yeah.
And it's the ones that say all of that stuff who can no longer go in to like undercharge and get the job done.
It's mindset to me. Like, to me, it's a plentiful mindset, because even if you put a TikTok video out, right, and it's a bit of a how-to and somebody watches it, they're never going to use a decorator anyway, because it's probably, listen, having a decorator in is a luxury, in my opinion.
Yeah, it
like
is.
I look at myself sometimes and I think, would I afford, or would I use a decorator if I wasn't one? Probably not. So it is a luxury. If somebody's going to watch it that's never going to use a decorator anyway, there's nothing lost. But what they might do then is turn around and go, oh yeah, to a friend or family, how did you do that yourself? Oh, I follow Joanne on TikTok.
And chances are they'll go, actually, I'm just going to see if she'll come and do a course.
Yeah, but maybe that person's mom, dad, aunt, uncle, friend might actually want to use a decorator when they don't. So it's about spreading your network of people that are just aware that you exist.
That's it. Like, I remember years ago, I don't do exterior work now, but years ago I'd done one exterior job and I was like, I'm going to make a video just like of me up that ladder. I ended up doing the full street. And that done it for a while after that, but it just takes that one, that one thing. And but yeah, it's
key. To be honest, Joe, you've given out to anyone listening that is just getting into the trade, or even has been in the trade for a few years, you've given out a load of handy tips and advice. What was the first? So the first one was TikTok. Tell everyone where they can find you on your socials.
Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram.
And is it just Joanne
Joanne Hay
Hay
decorating.
decorator? I'm literally reading
Yeah,
your hoodie.
yeah,
So just full name on all of them, is
yeah.
it?
I set up like I have set up a YouTube as well because I was going to use that for more, like just talking more in depth about products and stuff.
Mm.
But it's just finding the time. But yeah, I'm pretty much on all
Yeah.
socials.
Do you know what, Joe? That's something else to talk about. Really, is social media is almost like a full time business
I
itself, isn't
know.
it?
Yeah.
And particularly like myself, you running multiple platforms.
Mm-hmm.
How do you find the time?
Again, trying to just when if it's a good day, if I've got the time, I finish the job a bit earlier, go home, get settled, might spend an hour or so uploading stuff, and then just leave it. And then
Mm.
the next day, if I'm feeling good, whatever, I can check, reply to
Do you
stuff.
post and ghost then?
I tried, yeah, because how well some content does, it can just blow up there and then within a couple of
Mm.
minutes. The rest of the time, trying to keep up, you'll get sucked in with the comments and replying. So just try and leave it. So that yeah, it's like another job altogether, and it is
Mm.
difficult.
Was it it's Facebook, isn't it? You've got, is it 100K? Am I right?
Yeah, Facebook was the first one I ever had,
Okay.
and then that done really well. That's on like 100 and something thousand. TikTok's on 200 and something
Oh,
thousand.
really? Also,
Yeah,
TikTok's your biggest one.
yeah.
TikTok's on 200, Facebook's on 100, and your Instagram.
Instagram's like I think it's just over 8 or something. I didn't do a lot with Instagram to be honest,
Yeah.
and then I started posting more, but I was starting to get connected with other decorators who were only on
Yeah.
Instagram. So I was
Yeah,
like,
there's
oh,
quite a few of them, yeah.
yeah, I'm going to be more on there and just kind of see what they're doing and interact with
Mm.
them. And I'm glad I did actually because I was contacted through Instagram to take part in interior design masters through
Oh,
Instagram.
okay.
So just by posting more on there, and that's where that all came from.
So, I mean, your reach, though, that's what I was trying to work out, is like over
Yeah.
300,000 people as a painter and decorator. People would have, 15, 20 years ago, that would have just been unheard of.
Mhm.
I mean, that's incredible. I mean, first of all, well done. Like, that's
Thank
incredible.
you.
The amount of people that you can reach and influence, and I know everyone hates that word influencer, but in the true meaning of the word influence, like the
Yeah.
next generation, that's massive.
Yeah. You naturally fall into that category. I mean, there's
Yeah.
so many tradespeople who've got such bigger followings. But I don't see myself as that either.
Mm,
I'm just like, I put my work on there, and I'm still just a decorator. I'm making my living and putting
yeah.
stuff on, but doing it and using it in the right way, you will reap the benefits.
Yeah, yeah.
And having that amazing opportunity of taking part in interior design masters and finally meeting and working alongside some of the tradespeople that I've followed for years
Mm,
and got to work with them on something like that.
brilliant. How was that? How was the
Oh, it was
experience?
amazing.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah. When they got in touch, they were trying to kind of get more girls involved. There was a lot more like, male tradespeople on there. So they spent time trying to get a lot more people on. So they got like Jen,
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Liv from Trend Decorating, and they just the few others, and it was just such a good team, such a good experience.
Mm. What did you have to do? Like, just out of interest, were you actually like decorating on camera? Was it a normal job? Was it? But how
Yeah,
was it?
so I don't watch much telly anyway. To be honest, I can't switch off enough to watch something.
Same, yeah.
But I had heard of it, and it was basically like there's a lot of designers who are competing against each other, and we go to different places, and they get a decorator and a joiner, and
Okay.
it's like they're competing against each other. But it was just,
How long did you get to do a job?
it was like over a couple of like a day or so of
Yeah.
making it all come together for them, and it
Okay.
was just like chaos.
Was there like pressure on you to get done in a time, or?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
like you've got your time limits and stuff, but the days go so quick because of the absolute carnage that goes on.
Mm,
But it was such good fun. So like everybody was so well looked after. That's what I was worrying about.
yeah.
Like I'd never done anything on TV before, So I don't know how things are going to go. Like,
Yeah.
what am I supposed to do? What can I do? What can't I do? It was just so
How
relaxed.
mad's that though? Like,
Oh,
if you could have took 19-year-old Joe straight out of college and go, do you know what, mate? One day you're going to have this big following and you're going to end up on TV decorating.
but yeah, right. It,
But listen, that's what you can get. To
exactly.
any
Yeah.
youngsters listening now, like, genuinely, so I know I'm biased, but just from a business sense, I've said this before, demand dictates value. There's a huge skills shortage in the trade. There's nowhere near enough people coming in. Not only is there not enough people coming in, but it's not promoted, it's not being pushed. The government, the schools are
Yeah.
not trying to get people into the trades. Yet I always sit there laughing. You see the government manifestos and they're like, we're going to build 15 million new houses. And I'm like, we?
Like, who with?
Who's we? Who's it? You? You in your suit who's blatantly
Yeah.
never done, Mr. Soft Hands.
Yeah.
Like, who are these people that are building all these new houses and infrastructures?
One of
You
the
know,
best things I've done as well, Newcastle College got in touch with me last year and they said, would you mind popping in like one day and just chatting to apprentices, like, if you've got any spare time? So I was like, I've never done any kind of like, I can talk on camera, no problem, but talking in front of a load of youngsters, like, how are they going
yeah,
to look at me? Are they interested in the trade? Or they just feel like they've got to be there?
yeah.
Like, parents like, you better get into something. But anyway, I went and we got chatting. They had some great questions, to be fair. But as soon as I mentioned social media, their eyes just went ping, and it's
Mm,
like, right. So now I've got you've got your attention, and they asked about the following and stuff like that. So what do you put on there? Can we follow you? I was like, yeah, like I just put all my work on there, show how to do stuff. But I said, but it's what this leads to.
mm,
I says, but don't be fooled. If social media was to disappear like that, I've still got my trade.
great point.
And there's a lot of people who are just on there, if that disappears, they've got nothing. I
Mm,
says, yes, you've got to, the way they look at it is like, why am I going to use so much of my energy doing such a manual job when I can become an influencer or whatever? I say, but it's what comes off the back of all of this, and I'm always going to have this.
yeah.
I was like, I've had, an amazing opportunity to work with so many brands in the trade, go to like award ceremonies and stuff just for doing my job,
Mm.
because I've worked in a trade. That's what comes off the back of it.
And I love that. Like, again, it's one of the things that other industries take for granted.
Yeah,
They have their awards and their, and things like that. It's great to see that coming into the trades,
yeah,
to have things that celebrate people's skills and bring together. Is that community thing again?
yeah,
It's bringing people together. That a lot of us as lone workers, sole workers, and bringing in, acknowledgement for the skills that we've got.
yeah,
I think it's brilliant. It's great to
yeah.
see the rise of it, and there's certain companies out there that are doing more and more of it. I was really fortunate last week. Was it last week? Yeah, I think it was last week, to go to the Q1 event. They
Oh,
put
that
they
looked
put an
really
event on
good.
in Manchester, and I said to them there, I said to the owners, I said, what I love about this is that you're bringing people together, and that is what's needed, is that connection.
Yeah,
And it's people from all over the country. You got people coming from London, people coming from, Leeds, Sheffield,
yeah,
Birmingham, all coming together to, you know, to be acknowledged as
yeah,
well by these brands, to actually go, do you know what? We respect you for all the stuff that you're doing. You're advertising us for free, a lot of us. I mean, like me, yes, Q1 have sponsored the dartboard and they've put some sponsorship into the podcast. Amazing, really grateful. They've supported it from day one. Prior to that, though, I used and promoted Q1 for 3-4 years.
yeah,
Just because I use their stuff. I think it's good, it's good
yeah,
tape, it's good protection. And I did
yeah,
that not because I was looking for anything, just because in my business, I'm like, you know what? If something works, I'll promote
yeah,
it,
yeah.
because to me, that's like I'm helping out my fellow tradespeople.
And that's it. Yeah, I'm
You know,
always like, the things that I put on, and people will have a go or whatever. I'm like, I'm just showing what works for me and what I prefer.
mm,
Like, somebody might find this filler one day and it completely changes their prep.
yeah,
And it's the same with like Arrowworthy for me. Like, I'd use their the brushes and stuff years ago, and
Yeah.
they got in touch and asked me to be an ambassador, and I'm like, I feel really fortunate to be working with them, and they're so generous in what they send out. Like last year, the P&D show, I went and stood on their stall
I
with
was
them.
there with you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
just such a brilliant thing to be involved in, and I'm so
Yeah.
grateful for those things.
That acknowledgement, I think, is what it certainly hits for me. Where I'm like, oh, okay, you actually value
Yeah.
what we're doing, which is nice. It's nice to see. I love seeing the various brands out there that are getting on board this kind of thing and picking decorators out and giving people that acknowledgement and props for doing what they're doing. I think it's brilliant. Like,
So again, it goes back to when social media is used in the right way.
yep,
This is what happens. Like
yeah.
you reap those benefits, and
You made such a good point, though, Joe. I loved it. The fact that if social media went away tomorrow, you've still got your trade. So you've built a business, and then you've built social media around your business. But if that outer shell goes, you've still got your business.
yeah,
And you're quite right. There's this weird thing at the moment with the younger generation where they're like, why should I work hard? Because there are things like it. But if you're a younger person now and you are trying to become an online presence, you've got to have substance. You can't build something around. It's if that bubble bursts, it's hollow in the middle.
and you see it as well though. You see, like, when Instagram first got big, there was so many people influencing like this, that, and the other, and then those things don't work out, and they're like, what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to go back to work.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm
I'm just
go do
going to
this
carry
job.
doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I've been in a similar position. I've been fortunate for a few brands have worked with me here and there. And last year I did a campaign with a brand, and when their requirement was literally, well, just film what you're already doing. I was like, so hold on, you're going to pay me to be at work doing what I'm doing anyway, getting paid anyway. You just want me to film it?
Yeah.
Yeah, like fucking no brainer.
This is the thing as well. Like you see, you kind of I've used social media around my business, but what comes off the back of that is always obviously the great things, like the experiences that you get. But brands, and they'll be honest with you, if you have that following, you're now just a catalogue for them.
Of course,
So they're like,
of
we'll
course.
pay you
Yeah,
to do this, and say, right, okay then.
yeah.
So like, you're looking at me as a catalogue, then I'm just,
Oh, look, let's be honest here. It's not done out of the goodness of their heart.
oh, absolutely
It's
no.
it's because social media is such a giant. It's the marketing go-to now.
Yeah.
And if that changes, I mean, I would imagine years ago when social media didn't exist, your marketing was TV and radio.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not marketing, but I would imagine those platforms are probably pretty dead now. It's all social media,
Yeah.
and then working with people such as ourselves. It could all change again
Yeah.
in the future, and that marketing revenue could go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And if it does, like you just said, you've still got your business.
But I'm so careful. I've had so many brands like with no connection to decorating ask me if I would do a video for them, or they'll send us some stuff, and I'm like, where am I going to use your product in my job? Like, some of them have been insane. So I try and keep everything as relevant to me and as honest as it, with what I use and stuff like that. But there's so many like that you do genuinely love, like the Q1, Arrowworthy. Like,
Yeah.
I love those products, and that's what I'm showing people today what I use. I'm not trying to sell you them. By all means, I'll tell you where you can get them, but this is what I use.
Yeah.
And it's the great stuff that comes off the back of all your hard work. Like, brands want to be involved with you because, you.
I think that's the most authentic way, to be honest,
Yeah.
Joe, isn't it? Because as you say, if people can just see that you use it and you're not pushing it. I mean, yeah, of course, if you're getting paid to do a reel, you're going to push it. But
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
if you use it anyway and you've got that genuinely, though, Like if I were to do a reel for Q1, which I haven't done, but if I were to do one, people could very easily go back through my social media and go, oh yeah, he's used it for 3, 4, 5
Yeah,
years.
yeah.
If I were to go and pick any other generic tape brand and be like, this is the best tape, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, it would be so obvious to just
Mhm.
go through my socials and go,
Mhm.
well, first time I've heard of that.
Yeah.
And it does happen. And I'm very open-minded. When it comes to social media and the benefits of it, I'm very much like, do you know what? Like, I'm on your side as a
Mhm.
tradesperson and as any other tradesperson.
Mhm.
And if they're out there and they can capitalise on any opportunity that comes their way, whatever, I don't care.
Mhm.
Like, good for you, mate.
Yeah.
It's one of those, whatever works. I know certain people do get backlash for hopping between brands, but
Mhm.
me personally, I'm like,
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
works,
That's that's your business. If
Yeah,
that's what you want to do.
could have its downsides, but,
Yeah,
you
but I
know.
just feel like if that's what you want to go for, it can and probably will eventually disappear.
Mm.
And if you, I'm just happy doing what I'm doing, and it's going really well.
I was going to say, well, you're doing it
So,
well, aren't you? So,
and if it's helping somebody else, then if it helps one person, a few hundred people, it's fantastic.
I mean, I know there's not many in our industry that have done it. There's others in other industries. I'm going to be speculative here. Would you ever, go full time social media if you could replicate your earnings?
If I could still do what I'm doing in a way of like working with the products and the brands that I use, and if it encourages not just young girls, young lads, if it just encourages more
Just
youngsters
encourages
in,
people in, yeah,
absolutely, absolutely. But I
yeah.
would love. We've spoken. Me and my wife have spoke about this a few times. If I could have like a property just to work on, to show stuff, to show different products that I've used, and if that encourages more, gets more through the door, 100%, I would
Yeah.
do that. Absolutely, because I'm not going to go for
I don't.
years and years and years. So,
Do you know what, Joe? I was just literally my cogs going around while we're talking. I don't see there's any reason why, why there shouldn't be those kind of ambassadorial roles for the trade in general,
hmm
or why they don't exist. You know, but I mean, again, I think that would probably come down to a governmental sort of level of intervention, which it's going to get to.
it has
You
to
know,
be. We have to use that thing like I did in the college
yeah,
when I mentioned the social media.
you got
That
to lean into the
they
new
just went,
generation.
okay,
Yeah, yeah.
now I'm locked in
No, I
on what you're
mean,
saying.
yeah, yeah.
So when I told them everything that I had, I couldn't talk about interior design masters at the time,
Mm,
but I said I'm really fortunate. I'm going to be working on some TV stuff, and they're like, how? I'm like, because I've used my trade
mm,
and used it around like with social media, and this is what comes out the other side of it. But if it all goes tits up, I'll just go back to doing that living room and still
yeah.
making me money. And
I mean, it was before social media was around, but I remember again my grandfather when I was talking about jobs and work and that, and he said, "Once you got a trade, you got a job for life, son."
yeah,
And there's truth to that.
yeah,
It's once you have that skill, it's like riding a bike. You know, it's you can revert to it.
hmm
You don't have to. I've done it myself. I've dipped out. I've come back.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. I do the same.
it is possible to put the tools down and pick them up again,
Yeah,
which is one of the beautiful things about it. I think
hmm
it does give you an element of freedom.
yeah,
I've had a few people ask me the question I asked you, which is why I asked you, which was, you know, if ever the podcast blew up or whatever, would you come off the tools? I can't remember who it was. Sorry, because I'm forgetting whoever it was that said. But my response was always probably not. I was like, probably not, because this is such a new thing for me.
yeah.
I've no idea where it's going. I haven't planned it. There's no set plan. It's just like, so far I've just been going, just whatever happens, happens. Just follow it. Keep saying
Yeah,
yes to everything, and it, and here
yeah,
I am now. Never imagined I'd be here. But I remember saying the same thing. I was like, well, I don't know whether I'd ever come off the tools, because what if, this wrapped up in a
yeah,
year or two?
yeah.
And they just went, I mean, just go back on the tools. And it was a light bulb where I
Yeah,
went, oh yeah,
yeah,
of course I can. There's this
hmm
weird thing where you kind of think, well, if I shut my business, I'm done. can't ever go back. But that's not the truth when it comes
No.
to the trades. I could literally turn around to customers and go, I'm sorry, I'm booked up for a year. While I'm giving this a go full time.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, listen, I'm nowhere near giving this a go full time, but if Spotify want to come along and go, look, we'll...
Just make sure you book some time off.
Exactly, yeah. But you never know what'll happen, but there's no reason why not, and that's the beauty of having a trade behind you.
That's why I've never... I mean, yes, I could have went into any other trade. We all could have, but I don't regret anything of the trade that I've went into. Nothing about it at all. I've been through so many ups and downs, learned so much, made so many mistakes, but I wouldn't be what I'm doing. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. I wouldn't be sat here like telling you the things that I've done, what I've worked on, and everything else. And it's it's been probably the best decision I've ever made, especially to go self-employed as well in a trade.
I love that. The fact that you can sit here now at this stage and say that's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's nice.
And I think as well, the social media side, I'm just winging it as well.
Joe, we all are, mate. I'll be
People
honest with you.
say they've got a plan, but I'm winging it, and I just roll with it. No pun intended. I just roll with it, and like you say, if it all disappeared tomorrow, my trade is my bread and butter.
To be honest, Joanne, though, when it comes to social media, it's so new, really. Like, you look, I don't know, I guess the biggest following, and everyone knows, is probably Kev.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, Kev's probably only been on the scene for, I'm sorry if I get this wrong, mate, but maybe a few years, like three, maybe 4 years tops. For an industry, that is like, this is the birth of where it's at. So it's either going to continue to grow and boom or implode upon itself, which again, I think will come down to marketing money. But I think it's just getting started.
Yeah.
You know, so you're saying you're winging it. We're all winging it because it's so new.
Because it's just there's something else all the time. Like, you feel like you catch up with the products, right? You've chatted to this decorator, right? What are you working on? Oh, how did that go? Great, I'll get that. Another product lands. Something else, you were just constantly going, right, okay.
Yeah.
Just go with it. And it's just so important that we stay humble in everything and like, crack on, do our work, and just try and get the others through the door and encourage and just use things in the right way. That's all I'm trying to do. Just use everything I've got in the right way.
That. I love the whole. I mean, humble. Yeah, you're definitely feet on the ground, considering the following that you've built up. But yeah, I love your whole vibe. To be fair, Joe, like the whole thing behind it of trying to promote it for other people, and that whether that's girls, boys, whatever it might be, it's all positives. Yeah, I love it, and for you to sit there and say it's probably the best decision you've ever made, I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm not just for the girls either. Like, the decorators of years and years, I get so much support from a lot of them as well. So they learn a lot. I'll still learn a lot.
Yeah. So you never stop learning.
Nah, and that's what I love. I love that about with trade as well, because. And sometimes it's the simplest of things, and you think, why didn't I think of that? Somebody's been doing it for years. And then those, as we were saying earlier, those little eyes are watching, and like, all right. I get apprentices message me as well, saying like, I'm into whatever stage of my apprenticeship, I've took on so much of your stuff, and it's really helped.
That's nice.
I say, that's amazing. But having a big following, you don't see those... You don't know who's watching, so...
No, and you can't even compute it. I mean, 300,000 reach. I mean, it's Wembley Stadium, 90, something like that. So
you see me being from Newcastle, like I think of me standing in St James's Park.
Yeah, what, 4 times over, like, 5 times over?
Even just standing in that centre circle looking around, that's only like 52,000 people.
6 times over nearly, yeah. Mad.
I just think all them people like know who I am.
Yeah.
It's such a crazy thing.
That's it, but on a positive thing, like the difference you can make to so many. Because listen, you're one person. If you can make a difference to 5 that is insane returns
Yeah.
on what you can give back to the world.
Mm-hmm.
But realistically, you could do a lot more than that.
Mm-hmm.
But and the whole thing with the podcast, I've said a million times, like, if it helps one person, it's been worth it.
Absolutely.
And I'd like to think it's done far more than that. In fact, I know it has, just from the messages I've had. That was like day one.
Mm-hmm.
But same mindset though.
Yeah.
I think that about every episode I put out, where I think I'm not trying to get thousands of downloads or listens. If I would rather have 10 downloads of an episode and it genuinely help one
Yeah.
person than have 10,000 downloads, but everyone's just like, yeah, it was right, yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I get so many messages as well saying like how much either content's helped or just like the advice that I've given them's helped. And that it's those little things people say, like, you can't be doing it for nothing. Like, you can't be doing it for free. Say, why can't you? Why? Life is hard, and
Yeah, yeah.
people go through shit, and you just don't know what they're going through.
I think from the outside in, listening to you, it sounds like you found that extra purpose within the trade, which is great.
Yeah.
You found a way to help people tick that box within what you're already doing. And I did that when I started volunteering at Samaritans.
Mm-hmm.
That was that purpose it gave me of, I needed that extra something
Mm-hmm.
over and above running a business.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I do this. Same thing. It's that purpose that I took away from that, and I've moved into this directly into my own industry. And that's it. That's why I said to you earlier that not this genuinely, none of this is money for me.
Yeah.
None of it is about money. It's about trying to grow the platform as big as it can be, so I can reach as many people as I can.
But how
Because
much all of this impacts those in trades or wanting to be in a trade, knowing that there's some support there,
yeah,
there's people that have been on your podcast, people who would have never have thought they could sit here and talk about what's going on in there,
yeah,
and to show that they can talk, you can talk to each other. Like, it's yeah,
and that's what gives me that
exactly.
purpose to I don't know whether it's getting a bit older and a bit more philosophical, and you start to reprioritize. I think when you go through things as well, those big moments in life, you start to reprioritize what matters, and that
Yeah,
leaving that footprint on the world, that imprint kind of thing.
yeah,
Oh, it's got to be about more than money,
absolutely.
and helping people. I mean, look, it's not selfless. It makes me feel good about myself.
Yeah,
That's why I do it.
yeah,
So, it's that's the whole process. I've really enjoyed the conversation, Joe.
me
I want
too.
to, before we wrap things up, I want to ask you a question which I've asked a lot of people, which is, the construction industry is obviously at a point of what I would consider mental health crisis. You look at the statistics around suicide figures, it's the worst industry in the UK. It's something that I've said many times and I keep repeating because people need to know. But to get your perspective on it as to why you think the construction industry is so adversely affected in comparison to other industries.
I just think because it's probably one of the most lonely places. Like, working on your own, some of the things that go through my head, like, I think of everybody and everything, and I can see why the statistics are like that, and just underappreciated, not paid enough. Sometimes, like, it's only now I feel that it's becoming more known, but because of people like yourself and us who are on social media pushing stuff, checking up on each other, but it's not enough.
There's a long way to go.
There's a hell of a long way to go. But I just think we are trades naturally, like, what I don't even know why I said naturally. I just think we all know it's still looked down on, but we're the ones that's building everything up. Take us all away, then what happens?
Yeah.
So, and we know by people we've spoken to just in our trade, like, how hard things are. what's going on in the rest of the trades who aren't talking to each other.
Yeah. Yeah, and we all, there aren't many people that won't know somebody that's got a tragic story revolving around people in the trades. I was reading about somebody earlier today, unfortunately. So, yeah, it's unfortunately the trend is still an upward one when it comes to
Yeah.
figures and statistics, and has been for over 20 years now. It's been growing and going up, and people like myself, I'm trying to raise awareness, and there's initiatives out there like the On the Tools, the Project 7000, the Lost City. What I love about that is that it's action based rather than
Yeah.
awareness based, because I put myself in the category. There's a few of us out there trying to raise awareness, but once awareness is there, then what?
Yeah.
It's like, then what do we do
Yeah.
once people are aware? Like, there's got to be something, the next step. So it's almost like, the stage one is let's talk about it, and then stage two, let's do something about it.
That's the thing. You get all the awareness of things, and then it lasts for so long, and it's not like forgotten, but something else comes along, and it's like,
Yeah, it's like me personally. It's why I'm not a big fan of these like days or weeks or
yeah,
months. Like, it's
yeah,
Mental Health Awareness Week this week. What about the other 51 weeks? So we're on to something else then. It'll
yeah,
be whatever. That's why I'm not a big, because there's a lot of flag waving around
yeah,
that. It's,
yeah,
oh, it's Mental Health Awareness Day. I'll post something about mental health today. That's it then for the rest of the year. I've done my bit.
yeah. I
But
was so shocked when you had released the statistics in like male suicide, and I shared that. I shared a video on my social media. The amount of blokes that messaged me
yeah,
was like, I've just, I really appreciate. Can I just tell you something? Can I just? I was like, yeah, absolutely. I must have spoke like so many, and
yeah,
they never would have thought they could have done that
yeah.
to message a complete stranger. Never mind a woman as
It
well.
has a strange effect, really, Joe. I think by talking about it, and you put your hand up really and kind of go like, I'm aware,
Yeah,
it's safe to talk to me.
yeah,
And it's a powerful thing, and that's what helps, is more people doing that. But yeah, the statistics are horrible,
yeah,
absolutely shocking, and absolutely shocking. And like you said, you weren't aware of it, and neither was I.
yeah,
It was a journey I went on when I started volunteering at Samaritans, and it was the whole pulling the thread, and people that listen will have heard this a few times, but I just became aware that I was speaking to a lot of tradespeople. I didn't get
yeah,
into that because I was trying to target the trades. I wasn't
yeah,
aware of it. I was taking all the phone calls, and it's like, I'm a builder, I'm a bricklayer, I'm a carpenter, I'm a painter, and it was like, I'm speaking to a lot of like what I would refer to as my people
yeah,
here. And it was just a bit of downtime. I was like, I'm going to look into the stats, like, the statistics around suicide by industry and where construction ranks in that. I was blown away by the statistics, and they're not easy to find. It's
yeah.
quite hard to actually get accurate stats. But once I had, I was like, how is this not talked about?
Like I've never. I feel really fortunate. Like I've never felt like I've been in a position where I've thought about something like that, or it's never crossed my mind. We're absolutely all affected. Like everybody knows somebody that's like, taking their own life, and I do as well. But it just completely blows me mind that those numbers are so high. Like trades are so we're everything. So why is it so high? Why is the support not there?
Yeah.
Do you know? I don't know, but I think the trades are more male dominant areas anyway, and it's always been known that men don't show the feelings, they don't talk,
Yeah.
and I think that's probably the biggest problem.
Yeah, it's a spiral.
Yeah,
I've asked that question to so many people because I like to get other people's insights, and
yeah,
you've brought up that subject, and a lot of people have touched on it: the isolation, the loneliness,
yeah.
and they're not talking. It's I don't even know what the answer is, Joe. I wish I did,
I know.
because if there was an answer,
You
then
just
hopefully
go
there wouldn't be
around
a
it.
problem.
It
But
just goes round and round.
what I've come together really is it's just this spiral of issues where you combine everything together,
Yeah,
and you get this perfect storm almost. And it's going to take some real change to to dent, even just to level off, because honestly, the graph, the trajectory around it has just been up, 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 even just to level off. Like something's got to change.
Yeah.
You know, I don't even know what that
But
is.
what is the? It's finding what is that change that helps everybody and not just a certain amount of people. I feel like I thought I was such a stronger person until the day I lost my mum,
Yeah.
and then from the moment she took her last breath, I've been a completely different person. But I see things differently. I'm understanding people a bit more. I'm
Yeah.
taking that time to just relate to people in more like different ways, and I think that's why I'm trying to do what I do with social media and just be myself and be there for people to talk to and just show myself as who I am.
Massive
Some
respect to that.
I'm I
Yeah.
am an approachable person,
Yeah.
so yeah, I just see things a lot differently, and I'm
Keep it up.
more
It,
aware of.
it's the world needs more people to do what you're
Yeah,
doing. So keep it up, and I'll look forward to watching you keeping it up, as it were.
yeah.
But before we do wrap up the conversation, is there anything that we haven't spoken about that you wanted to talk about?
No, I think I've probably spoken a lot more than what I thought I would.
Yeah,
To be honest with you.
I have a habit of
Yeah,
doing that to people, apparently.
yeah. But no, I think I've pretty much covered a lot that I wanted to anyway.
Well, again, I'm really grateful that you made the huge effort to
Oh,
travel
no
as far as
problem.
you've travelled and share your experiences and all that lot. So again, you're adding to the incredible collective of people that have been a part of this. So I'm really grateful for your part.
Oh, my
Um,
pleasure.
and yeah, thank you very much.
No
So
problem.
you will be able to find Jo in the episode description below. There'll be links to her socials. If you don't already, go and give her a follow. Before we do wrap it up, a big thank you to our guest merchandise sponsors, the Funky Peach, for the merchandise that they supply, which I will send Jo away with today. So a big thank you to you guys, and I will catch you on the next one soon.